Welcome, in front of me is a Samsung Galaxy M11, and today I'll show you unboxing along with a brief overview of the device. So obviously this is the box that it comes in. Let's pop it open. Nothing in here as you can see, so straight to the side. Nothing in here as well, straight to the side. Then we get the phone itself, so let's take it out and set it to the side for now. And then we got the headphones in here, just a typical really crappy looking buds. Charging cable in here, along with a SIM ejector right at the bottom there, and a 15-watt charger. So this is probably the more important thing that I should show. There we go, there's the wattage, 15 watts max. Hopefully it is visible on the camera, although I wouldn't expect much from here. But yeah, 15-watt charger, kind of a big brick considering it's only 15. I'm pretty sure they make the US ones, at least, because this isn't a US, I believe, are basically half the size and come with 21 watts most of the time. Still low, but better than this. So apart from these three accessories in here, there's nothing else in here. So drop it to the side and then get the phone in front here. Now I already did go through the setup of it, so I won't have to do that right now. And unlocking it, we're presented with the 6.4-inch 720 by 1560 display. That is a PLS TFT panel, so no Super AMOLED display. And as you can see right now, this is maxed out and it isn't getting very bright. I would say 81.6% screen to body ratio with a 268 pixels per inch. That is because the resolution isn't necessarily the greatest, but at least for me, looking at it from about a foot away right now throughout the recording, it looks fairly sharp. I might not have the 20/20 vision, so my opinion right here might not be the best, but personally I don't really care that much for super sharp resolutions that push the boundaries, and at least in this case, from this distance, like I'm looking, it looks sharp. It doesn't look blurry or anything, and yeah, it's basically fine. What isn't fine is the max brightness of this display, which is just as bright as I was in 5th grade. So if you take this outside, it's gonna be basically turned off display. Like I'm pretty sure you won't be able to see anything on that screen in direct sunlight. Right now I have just a single spotlight right here, this little thing as you can see right here, and this thing is blasting this display to the point that it kind of looks washed out and a little bit faded, and it is right now maxed out. So yeah, I'm not expecting much from this display, honestly. And then finishing it off with the display, it has a glass along with a glass protection on it that I have applied, because it seems like it has no rating of Gorilla or anything, so this probably will be really brittle. But that's the only glass you have on this device. Rest of the build quality is made straight from plastic, so straight up China. Now moving on to the camera that is housed under in the cutout in the display. It's an 8 megapixel wide sensor that shoots at 1080p 30 frames, and I do have a tiny little prop right here, there we go, that I will use the cameras for, at least the back ones. The front one, I guess I'm just gonna use my face and see how that comes out. So yeah, front, probably fairly underwhelming display, not display but camera. Now locking it and moving to the back, we can clearly see a triple camera setup. So we have a 13 megapixel wide, 5 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel depth. Now I assume the 2 megapixel depth sensor is basically as useful as this, probably reveal. So probably if you cover that 2 megapixel sensor and take photos, it most likely will not change anything in terms of quality. Usually I've seen multiple brands do this in 2020, where they add at least 1 or 2 sensors that are completely useless to their devices. So those are the 2 megapixel depth, which we have one here, and also one of those is a 2 megapixel macro, which is also complete and utter garbage in most circumstances. Now here we don't have the macro, we just have a useless depth sensor, which most likely will not make any difference. And also, as you can see, there is a fingerprint sensor right here, that tiny little circle. So yeah, now flipping it back over, we can now launch the camera maybe. Hopefully the low battery won't be giving us much problem with it. Okay, so let's take it out, move this straight up here and see how that comes out. Now keep in mind that this is going to be a fairly rough test right here. Not very, it's going to be a little bit too close probably, so the whatever is closer to the sensor will probably come out blurry. That super loud sound, I can't deal with this, so let me just quickly mute this. There we go, so I don't actually have to hear the deafening shutter sound. There we go. So this is just the normal 13 megapixel sensor. Now let's see what else we got. Looks like we got nothing else, honestly. We also have the ultra wide right here. So as you can see, it does do this kind of like fisheye, where the screen in the back, you can see that it's kind of like bending basically. If you can see it, let's see. So you can clearly see like the band right over here with the line. It should be straight, but as you can see, it's not. Now this isn't very desirable in ultra wide, and honestly, I think this is the first time I see something as drastic as this. So I just capture it. Now these are probably gonna be super underwhelming, primarily because of the conditions. That's number one, and number two, because these sensors are complete and utter garbage, it looks like. So clearly there is not much detail in here, as you can see. So this was the ultra wide, I believe. Yep, that's the ultra wide. So let's move to the normal one, the 30 megapixel, and this came out even worse. Not sure how that is possible. Now let me quickly try once more from a little bit further distance and maybe not a wide angle. There we go. I think this should come out a little bit better. Okay, yeah, this is way better than the previous shot. So once my hand stopped twitching, I can actually capture a decent photo here. But clearly you can see this is not pushing any boundaries with this sensors right here, and these are just for like when you're drunk and you need to snap a photo of something funny. Probably you're gonna whip out this phone because you won't be too sad if you lose it while you wasted it. So yeah, cameras are fairly underwhelming, I would have to say, and most likely with the direct sunlight and HDR functionalities, I'm not expecting basically anything special here. I basically would probably think that it's gonna fail at capturing anything under light. Basically when you're capturing with a, for instance, sun behind the subject that you're trying to capture, I expect that it's just gonna look, well, like phones straight out of 2014. So yeah, now we already went from the for the back photos. Actually, let me do one more thing, the depth sensor. So I'm gonna quickly figure out which one is a depth sensor, which I believe it's the last one. I'm gonna quickly cover it up, as you can see, and let's switch it. Okay, so it looks like the depth sensor is the middle one actually. Let me quickly wipe the sensors again and try to figure out how in the world am I gonna cover that up. Or maybe it's the last one. Let me quickly. Oh nope, it actually looks like it's the first one, this one. So I'm gonna be holding that up, covering it up, and let's see. Actually, first, again, I'm gonna wipe it. So without actually moving this, let's try to set it as far behind as I can. So let me try to make as best photo comparison as I can. So first shot uncovered, as you can see my finger right out, not covering anything. Then I'm gonna cover it up, and without actually moving my finger, flip it over, and you can see that I am covering the sensor right here. So, oops, it closed, but whatever. So this is the covered version. Let's see, it looks alright. This is the uncovered. Looks the same. So, like I said, useless sensor. Maybe it's gonna be used in something else, but honestly, in normal photos, there is no difference, as you can clearly see right here. Now moving to the front one, let's flip it over and see my smug here face. Can flip over. There we go. So let me quickly grab this phone and ooh, that is bad. So obviously you can I haven't seen such a lag on a phone since a while. Sheesh, this is terrible. That is some next level terrible photos here. Obviously you can clearly see there is no detail. It's grainy, even though it has a light right here, and my face is fairly decently lit up, as you can see on the photo. And oh, it just, that is terrible. So yeah, I'm just gonna move out of this one. Also, the processor is not doing this camera any justice by making it look like it's a slideshow. So yeah, I just don't want to look at that front selfie ever again. So yeah. Okay, so moving on to, well, the last part, which would be the specifications of the device. It comes with a Snapdragon 450, so super budget. And also it has two versions of it, so you can have a 32GB memory with 3GB of RAM, or 64GB memory with 4GB RAM. Now personally, I would most likely recommend you to go for the 4GB RAM, considering RAM is something that you will not be able to increase, while memory, let's see if we can. I believe I did read that there is a expandable storage via SD, but hey, we better check it. And yeah, we sure can. So we can still expand it past the 64 gigs or 32. But what you won't be able to expand is the RAM, which with 3GB of RAM in 2020, this phone won't be running very smoothly. So like I said, highly recommend you, if you're planning to buy this phone, to go for the 4GB RAM instead of the 3. It's gonna nivellate some lags and just overall like slow performance of this device a little bit past the budget Snapdragon right here. And the redeeming quality of this device, in my opinion, is the super hefty, chunky 5000 milliamp hour battery right here that comes in it. Sadly, it's going to be charging at fast charging speeds of 15 watts, so that will be probably half a night of charging before it reaches full from basically dead. Now I'm just kind of putting that estimate straight out of thin air, so don't take me on it, but considering it's 50 watts charging and 15, not 50, and a 5000 milliamp hour battery, that's a huge battery and fairly slow charging speed of it. So yeah, like I said, I'm expecting that this is gonna take a while to charge this device. You won't be getting any kind of super VOOC out of that one. And another redeeming quality probably of this device would be the price tag, which comes at $140. So this is catering to the budget devices, but honestly, if you're not reliant, for instance, on the Play Store, Huawei made phones that are basically running as good as this one, with I believe better cameras actually, at a cheaper price tag of $100 instead of the $140. So if you're looking for a super budget device and you're not really there for the Play Store and the Play services, I guess I would recommend you to check out the Huawei version of it. It also came out in 2020. It's just going to be cheaper and lacking some Play Store services, or all of them basically. And other than that, it will be very similar to this device. Now I'll also mention this phone doesn't come with NFC, so you won't be able to use it to pay for stuff in store. You won't be able to use it as a card basically, which honestly in 2020 I am so used to paying with my phone that this is a feature that I don't see any phone not having. A phone that doesn't have NFC, in my opinion, is not worth it almost, especially when it comes at $140. If it would have been 100 for instance, which this price would have been then more justified, then sure, but $140, that $40, I would rather see an NFC sensor than for instance 5 megapixel or 2 megapixel depth sensor that is completely useless. So yeah, and honestly it seems a little bit overpriced for how it actually functions. Now, also finishing it off with some info, it does come with One UI, so you're getting the basically Samsung's One UI, which is actually fairly nice, I would have to say. And also it comes on Android 10, so that is also a fairly good positive right here. But that's about where it ends. So finishing it off now completely, for the price that it comes in, I wouldn't say that it's a worth purchasing device. I would probably prefer to get either something a little bit more expensive or cheaper, depending. With both of those cases, if you go more expensive, you're gonna get way more usability out of that with more features, and if you go cheaper, you're basically gonna get almost the same kind of power, but as an example, you're gonna be lacking the Play Store. Although I'm pretty sure there was like Oppo, I think, that also made super budget devices at $100 that come with Play services. So just if you're okay with some kind of like Chinese phones, then I highly recommend checking out other brands and their budget options. And if you're willing to spend a little bit more, then also look for something a little bit higher priced. Even Samsung, I believe, in the higher priced phones for like 200 and something will be worth, will be better spend money rather than on this thing. So yeah, so if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.